Hey, welcome back to Change the Odds, the podcast. Blaine and Adrienne, where we get change the odds. We're marriage and family. We're never meant to be a game of chance. That, my friends, is called a tagline.
Just how I would say it too.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know, Adrienne, have you noticed that Blaine actually calls this the Change the Odd podcast?
Yes,
It's,
I do.
it could be an interesting other meaning.
Change the odd.
Change the odd. Which one's the odd is the question. That's how it goes. All right, hey, here's what we got today.
Yes.
A little Q&A.
Yeah.
So, if you're watching, listening, whatever you're doing, if you text marriage to 56316, we actually get those questions. And all the questions today have been typed into that. We're almost at 1,000 questions. And not today.
Yeah.
This is not today's episode. That would be the next 3 days. So, but if you're driving down the road, something comes to mind, text marriage to 56316. Completely anonymous. We cannot track you. And so here we go. What are we going to do? You ready? Who's going first? We got questions.
I can go first.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the questions that we had texted in was when work schedules are unpredictable and someone's gone for days potentially, how can couples maintain a deep connection instead of just defaulting to survival mode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this goes into the concept of what is the rhythm of us, right? So next year, book plug. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Book plug. Next year, the creation of us is coming out. One of the chapters is called the rhythm of us, and it is the idea of how do we create a healthy rhythm of how we connect. Now, here's what we got to recognize: for a majority of couples, we can almost prescribe what this looks like. So in y'all's state of life, we could begin to say, hey, depending on what your personalities are like, as you wake up of a morning, just 3-4 minutes where you linger just for a moment in bed, cuddle, do that kind of thing, launch out, begin your day, work together, getting the kids ready, all those things. You might have to be gone early for coffee or whatever work you claim that you have in the moment. Or no, never that.
No.
And so
Sorry.
you get the kids to school, right? You go about your work days, you do your things. Hopefully throughout the day, you're texting each other, you're staying in general contact. Come home at the end of the day, you're cooking dinner, kids have activities, you do all those things. You get the kids to bed, and then hopefully there's a time of connection that is there. You watch a show, you go out on the porch, you drink some coffee, whatever it is. Hopefully there's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour. Then maybe you have your separate time, and then you go to bed. A lot of couples in y'all's state of life, that can be a pretty predictable rhythm. Well, what happens when the firefighter is gone for 3 days? Well, they can't do it that way. Okay, that's fine. You have to recognize, look, our schedule is going to look different from everybody else's schedule. However, there's a responsibility now to create that rhythm.
Right.
And what does that look like? So it might be that you have a physical disconnection for several days. All right, is there a way to communicate? Some professions there is, some there isn't. You're an ER doc, you're probably not texting all day long with your spouse. Firefighter, you probably have times in which that's one of the that's ironically different topic, different question. One of the great dangers, one of the reasons firefighters tend to have worse marriages than some of the other helping professions is because of the amount of downtime. And then you have
in the
firehouse. Then you have a group of guys who are there. If one of them has a bad marriage, they can begin to. It is contagious. They can begin to lead people into poor decision making, and it's not uncommon in that line of work for there to be more struggles in marriages. Other things are probably at play as well. But how do we create that?
Can I say the same thing on the other side of the fire? Like if there's some guy that's listening, be the influence in a good way.
Oh no,
to
absolutely.
that household, right? In the firehouse. So
Yeah.
anyway.
And you just in a situation like that where this is change the odds, not the odd.
Yeah.
So the odds in that relationship are a little bit less. Well, how do we change that? So we have to learn what are the dangers, the temptations, what do we need to steer clear of? How do we create these more healthy rhythms of connection to make sure that we're not doing that?
Right.
But in the end, it's look, in this season of life, how do we create a healthy rhythm? And it's going to change as your kids get older. What that rhythm looks like will change.
Do you think there's like an aspect of if you have different work schedules, like both shift work and you're like opposite, you work nights, you work whatever, creating a space where it's like we have to schedule a date night or we have to schedule a night away, but then does that leave like the guilt of you're not with your kids on that time? Like how do you balance like, oh, we should probably be spending time as a family, but we also need to work on our marriage?
Yes. No, absolutely. And I different couples are going to have different perspectives on this. I like more important kind of daily, weekly rhythms than saving everything for the date night. So y'all have heard me talk about this before. Jenny and I have never really had a consistent date night, so maybe I'm biased here. That's just not that important to us. For other couples, they talk about how life changing it is. I have seen some statistics done in the past. I can't say it clearly, but I can think about it of the idea that an annual vacation actually has a greater impact than a weekly date night.
Oh,
And I like that stat.
So the idea, okay,
Take
all right.
notes, please.
we are in favor of that stat.
So the idea of getting away and what that can do
Yeah.
is maybe more impactful, but you still do have
Need
that
touch points,
connection.
though.
Yes, no doubt. And some people really, some personalities, the date night's gonna be far more important, and so you have to recognize that. For me and Jenny, it's not, so it's not that big of a deal. But the idea of there should always be this tension, when, especially when your kids are little, I think, of we want to be with them and how do we be with them, but at times we need to be away.
Yeah.
And to recognize this is actually for their benefit
Yeah.
that we're connecting with each other. At the same time, to recognize, depending on stage of life of kids, look, our marriage probably isn't going to be as good
Yeah.
at this
There's
stage, possibly,
Right.
because of the time demands that are actually there. You know, our coworker Kirk Harlow says, rate your marriage on a scale of 1 to 10, and for every child you have under the age of 5, give yourself an extra point.
Mm.
Oh
And
yeah.
it just kind of begins to show that, hey, this is a tougher season, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
That's crazy. We're at 13.
Okay, I'm not following.
Anyway.
But thank
You got a
for
question?
that. Yes, I do. All right, Kevin. How do you tell your spouse I've lost myself in parenting and housework without coming across as blame?
Oh, this.
That question
okay,
sounds so
Wasn't
genuine.
me, but I can relate.
I feel like she tried to read that question in a way that sounded so foreign.
She
Just
didn't
a
look at me.
mask.
She didn't look at me though for some
Oh,
reason.
no, I'm asking Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Well, here's the thing. I think you want to say it in a compassionate way, in a non-judgmental way, no question. But I think the onus on that is now on the husband to receive that.
Right.
And I think this is a much broader issue across the board. If we truly want to create a climate of intimacy and honesty where we're growing with each other, then we really have to get into whenever our spouse reveals their heart, to recognize our temptation is to get defensive
Mm-hmm.
and don't.
Yeah.
And instead power through by leaning in and instead of saying, well, I'm doing, no, tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
So allow them to unravel that onion a little bit more, to really get to the heart of what's going on. But the temptation now, are you laughing because you don't unravel an onion?
No, I'm saying I was
Okay.
thinking he does this very well.
Oh,
Oh.
And I was thinking this morning how unaware I was of
Oh
our
yeah, that's
departure,
true, actually.
and I just sat in my car. I'm like, I'm ready to go.
I was like, oh, I forgot the thing I want to bring. She's like,
She
you
comes
couldn't
in,
have done the one thing. I was like, you were doing nothing. Why didn't you think of it?
Oh,
but if she's walking into the car, she's got everything in her hands, and I'm like looking and like, and the door's locked. She can't even get it open. And I'm like, man, I am useless.
I sat down with all my stuff and I forgot to close the garage door. He's like, can you close the garage door?
oh.
That was the joke. That was a joke.
Yeah.
I flew into the environment. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But
I like the fact that you are walking out, carrying all this stuff, and Blaine is in the car thinking, she really needs somebody to help
she
her right
needs
now.
someone. I should
And
find
we're
someone
running
to
late.
help her.
I wish she
Yeah.
had a guy that could
Yeah.
assist her
Yeah.
with this.
I did make A's today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man, look at
Because
that.
I asked you.
Husband of the year.
She's like, I won't be able to get ready until, and then it was like, I should probably make the eggs. You think?
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway.
So I think you create, hypothetically in this situation,
Yeah.
so you create the space where these conversations can take place.
Yeah.
And so here'd be the question,
On a
maybe
date night.
yes, the question back, not on the date night.
No,
Just
I-
write
so-
that
In the business meeting, the weekly business meeting.
That's it.
So you do
Okay.
you do need to
I
have
think couples are having weekly business
This
meetings.
is what he's saying. We should position
Oh.
ourselves in a way like we're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking business.
business.
So the expectations
Like
of that
business.
hangout
Yes.
is on business.
Yeah, I
Yes.
like that idea. I just don't think people.
No, that's why
Okay,
I'm
I
working
can
to
make
change
that.
the
Wow.
Well done. So that becomes a great question. And it doesn't have to be a formal business meeting, but where does that happen? Because here's what you don't want to do is you don't want to create a date night and now you have these competing expectations
Yes.
where he is thinking,
Yes.
this is going to be sex.
Mhm.
And she's thinking, I will finally be able to have this conversation with him about how whatever
Yeah.
he's not helping with the kids
Yeah.
enough. And then that's conflict
Mhm.
Guaranteed
And
happen.
then you end in a fight and no one has
Yes.
sex.
And yes, and nor does anybody help with the kids. And so but both walk away disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the danger of a date night is if you don't think through it properly, you put all the expectations into this moment and they're differing expectations, then you're actually setting yourself up for failure.
So if the world was where I could share my expectations of the date night or the day, and it's not met with the same, it's better to have that argument or discussion well prior than the date
Yes.
night, right? Is what you're saying.
Or apparently we need two different meetings.
Two different meetings. Yes.
So, and that's what I really think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's, hey, let's go for a walk and let's review the week. I mean, Jenny and I, especially when the kids were little, not as much now, but when the kids were little, it really was, hey, what's this next week look like? All right, Silas has this, Ella has that. I'm going to be gone these times for this. Jenny's like, I got this going on business-wise. All right, let's kind of get a lay of the land of what's going on for the week and who needs to do what.
Yeah.
And then other times we're going to go take a walk, and this is about, we're dreaming about whatever. There's no pressure on, we just want to connect.
Yeah.
That's what the hope actually is. And to recognize those are two different experiences, both important. And the truth of the matter is probably if you don't take care of the business side of things, you probably won't have the connection.
No.
You probably got to get the details
Yeah.
kind of out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a distraction.
Yeah, so that you can be freed up. So I would hope that this couple, one, overarching picture would create a climate where these conversations can happen. Now, she feels knows what this is going to demand from her. A security, a safety to actually be able to say what's going on in her heart. What it's going to demand from him now is a response that is able to not get defensive and instead lean in and learn more about her heart.
Yeah.
And then the two of them being able to navigate, okay, is this just a season of life? If so, how can we still make it easier or better? Or are we falling into some patterns that are unhealthy because we're not true partners?
Yeah.
This is a question of partnership,
Yeah.
right? You've heard me say before that for me, friend, partner, and lover, it's really a struggle to develop a partnership until you've been married for a little bit of time. Kids have come along or careers to now begin to figure this out. And oftentimes what happens here is the couple has to recognize, hey, we're not very good partners.
Mm-hmm.
Let's learn.
Yeah.
And now what is it going to take?
Yeah. And I'll share some vulnerability in terms of the lover part, the intimacy part. When I'm there, it's like I'm focused on that. And when she was thinking about 90 different things to do that day, I felt disrespected because he's like, you're not even here. But then I understood, let's solve all of those problems. And there's lots of problems. Lots.
Okay.
But once we were able to give respect to her and her mind and her time, then that level of intimacy went way sky high. And I was just getting nervous thinking about it. But it was an actual practical strategy.
Yeah.
And that's why I share it is, listen, there are so many like us in that moment of guy wants this, she's over here, you guys got to make this time, connect, talk about it, and then you'll have this time.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Well, it's such an intriguing dynamic for most couples, not all, but for most couples, it really is. A woman needs to clear her mind to have sex. A man needs sex to clear his mind. Right?
Yeah.
And so to recognize both of these things are true, and then how can we navigate them? And how can we create a reciprocal kind of relationship to where the man is going, look, I really need this. You're not in the space for this right now. Let's work on how can we begin to clear your mind. And then other times for the woman to think, my mind isn't clear. I'm really not into this right now.
Yeah.
You need this.
Yeah.
How can we make this happen?
Yeah.
And if you can begin to, the danger is when that becomes one-sided.
Right.
When sex just
Always
becomes,
just-
it's always for him.
Mhm.
Generally, it becomes always better.
Mhm.
It's all for him.
Mhm.
Then she has no interest in it whatsoever. And that begins a process where the intimacy erodes because if this isn't enjoyable for you, maybe you can do it for a little bit. You're not going to want to do it for long. And then that results in the fight over frequency. So most of the time, if you can upstream, begin to take care of this where you're both enjoying it and then you're both leaning toward each other in a reciprocal way, in most cases, the frequency conversation tends to go away.
Right.
So I have a question here that's kind of along those lines that maybe we can dive into.
You are allowed. You have to text it in for. I'm just to marriage to 56316. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh,
No.
that was very funny.
Oh wow.
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 Mm.
Critique by the professional.
No, we're good.
Clearly.
What do you do when one spouse craves affection and the other just doesn't naturally give it? Which is kind of Blaine and I's
Yes.
natural tendencies.
Yeah.
Which, well,
Oh.
I think we all know. He loves physical affection
Yeah.
and touch.
Yeah.
Which most men, I think, do.
Yeah.
Which is that true?
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
I think generally, I think there's changes. Some women could be listening right now, and man, they desperately need physical affection.
Okay, well,
But-
I don't.
Yeah.
I think also I get it from my kids.
Oh, yes,
right?
yeah,
That's the whole,
yes.
like, I'm touched all day. Blech.
Yes.
But anyway, the what's the question?
So, Kevin, help us.
Yeah, no, I think to recognize, again, I think this is where Jay Stringer is brilliant. Go to the previous episode with Jay Stringer, in which he talks about, look, high drive, low drive. We always have that conversation regarding intimacy, right? So here's the question. The man has a high drive for physical connection. The woman has a lower drive for physical connection. Okay, there it is. But to recognize that high drive, low drive plays out in 1,000 different other areas within your relationship. There are other places in which you are definitely the high drive spouse. It might be cleanliness. It might be whatever.
Yes.
Whatever it might be. And Blaine becomes the low drive spouse.
Correct.
So to begin to frame this question into whenever those gaps exist, how do we want to, what's the relationship we want to create? Because here's the thing, if it really does become the low drive spouse sets the tone from an intimacy standpoint, okay, you'd be totally okay with that. Like, yeah, we're only having sex when you want to have sex. That's great. Okay, so using that logic, the house will only be as clean as whoever your dirtiest child is. Because, or Blaine.
Or yeah, I'm gonna say or.
So then, do you want to operate in a house that way? No. What's the expectation? Your expectation is, look, you're never going to have the drive for cleanliness that I have, but I do expect you to understand the way I operate, what I like, and to begin to lean toward that, even as you're going to have to lower kind of some of your expectations because you're not living by yourself. There are other people who are around. So now we take that into every area of marriage. And it's not, because here's the danger. We get this mindset of, he's high drive, I'm low drive, this isn't fair. No, that's just one area. What about all these other areas where you're the high drive, he's the low drive? So let's frame it first and foremost within that. Then let's begin to figure out what is a good rhythm for us. That, and not just sexual intimacy, but all other physical affection. And to recognize, you know what is it? Maybe part is, let's learn what this does for him. What is actually happening within his body whenever you literally hug him? That there is on the couch, instead of sitting at separate ends, that you're actually sitting next to each other. What begins to happen? Well, oxytocin is beginning to flood his brain. We need Barbara Wilson here to explain all these things are happening. But there is this deep feeling of connection. The tail begins to wag.
Literally, we're watching a movie the other night as a family, and kids, man, the kids are in between us constantly. They're all the ones she sat beside me. I felt like $1 million. I was like, this is fun. And it's funny. It's not like she made an effort to do that. I'm sure she wanted it. Maybe you don't even remember doing it.
I don't know.
And it's like she wants to be beside me. That makes me feel good. But there's an element where it's just the kids just interfere with that, and I have to be okay with that.
Yes.
Right? Because there's the season that we're in. I think I recognize that in the moment. But it made me feel like $1 million. And we're not talking sex at all here. We're talking about sitting on the couch watching a movie, and it's like that spoke as loudly to me as anything else.
Well, and I think, and then Blaine, for you to recognize, to make sure Adrienne has these times and spaces where she is all alone. Right. So it's an interesting. Jenny and I joke about this all the time. That she and I are exactly alike in this way. There is nothing that relieves our sense of stress like her in bed. So for me, it's me with her in bed relieves my stress. For her, it's her by herself in bed that relieves her stress, right? And so to recognize, no, we're actually the exact same on this.
Right.
We both want you there. And it makes everything better. And so how do I make sure that she has that time to where she's reading and she's relaxing and she's great? How does she make sure that I have that time then with her? And so then if you're both thoughtful with each other, I do think there's something interesting here, that you can actually create a healthy addiction with each other regarding physical touch if you will train yourselves to engage in it. Because here's what happens. as we have again, there has to be trust, there has to be respect for this vulnerability. If there's any sense of distrust, a lack of respect, any abuse, addiction, adultery that's taking place, physical touch can actually make everything worse. But if the climate is safe, if you will begin to, again, not at every moment, but strategically leverage each other's bodies as a way to lower stress and to increase oxytocin, all these positive chemicals, serotonin, all these positive chemicals that can be produced outside of sexual contact, your body will actually begin to crave them. Jenny said it 2 days ago. Having a stressful day, nothing big at all, but we took Ella back to college and just all those, she's paying bills, all those kind of things. There's national stories that are going on, which can be very difficult from a pastor perspective because the emails are flying, right? Of critique of you didn't do this right, you did this wrong, that kind of thing. And I came home and Jenny said, it's interesting today. I just found myself needing a hug from you. We've reached a good place here.
Yes.
Where her body is now recognizing, I need this, not sex. It wasn't. She didn't call me up and say, get home now.
Right.
But it was this loving intimacy.
Yeah.
And you can actually train your bodies to be addicted to that. That's a great addiction.
That is a great addiction.
As opposed to
Coca-Cola.
Looking for sponsorship.
Today's broadcast to change the odds is brought to you by Coke Zero.
I was thinking about just visually, like the tank of high drive versus low drive in whatever area that is, and how I know that if my low drive of cleanliness is, and she's high drive, and it's not because she wants to clean, she feels needed that she has to clean. If I help fill the tank, that other tank gets filled quicker.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just this visual takeaway for me is just like, it's not that I'm doing the cleaning to get what I want. I'm doing the cleaning to fill her tank.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then I know in turn, honoring each other, this whole thing just compounds in a great way. And it's just like, can I fill your tank? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Can I fill yours? Yeah, boom, let's go.
Yeah.
Right? So
It cannot be solely transactional. I'm doing this to get that.
That's it.
It can't be that.
Mhm.
But it's not foolish to recognize. Look, I want this down here. One of the ways to do that is I need to be doing these other things.
Yeah.
So that's not foolish at all.
No.
Here's an interesting question.
Go ahead.
The cleaning keeps coming up.
It does get
Adrian, do you find yourself whenever you get frustrated cleaning? Like if you're angry, frustrated,
stressed.
No.
No?
I don't know. I feel like I've never connected the two, but I know that mess adds to the stress. So if I'm already stressed and I see the mess, it escalates it. And then I lash out. And I'm like, we're throwing everything away.
Oh yeah.
Your toys are going in the garbage. Like, hey. Yeah.
So here's a challenge for you. This is so let's get back into personality. Right. So Adrian, agency, dyadic, agency, so important. And yet, unlike an 8 agency outward who can just express anger no problem. 9s and 1s, the 1's downregulated, a 9 shifts it into peace. But either way can struggle to kind of express it. What is socially acceptable? Cleaning. Nobody's ever going to critique anybody for cleaning.
Right.
Here's my challenge for you. Over this next week, as you're cleaning, I want you to ask yourself, is there something I'm frustrated with?
Okay.
And begin to, let's see, and nothing's going to be every time. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, we have to clean. Things happen.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's not a little bit of a tell. If you're cleaning at a time you wouldn't be cleaning, if it might be a little bit of a tell of what's going on inside your heart. And what would it look like if, as you're cleaning, you also just, or even if you took a break and just took a little bit of moment to say, what am I actually feeling? And is there a frustration? Is there something that's going on? And I think there might be a tie there to some extent.
Interesting.
Just random.
Blaine told me the other day we were talking, and what were we doing? You were like, well, you and your mom love to clean. I was like, I do not love to clean. I love a clean house. I hate the cleaning process. It stresses me out, like thinking, oh, I have to go clean that. But I try and keep up so that there's not a bigger mess to clean up later.
You said that the feeling of a clean house trumps the idea that I
have
hate
to do the
clean,
work.
I have to do the work, but you like the result.
But I'm happier in a clean home.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a very important thing. So years ago, and I get aspects of privilege here. I'm not denying that. Years ago, Jenny had started her business, busy, all these things, and we made the determination we're going to hire somebody to come in every 2 weeks just to help some deep clean and that kind of thing, and like would not go back from it
Mhm.
because of it. All right, let's be transparent. Does Jenny listen to the podcast?
Well,
I'm not sure.
who Jenny?
Does she
We
exist?
will get Jenny on and
Hey,
we will ask Jenny.
So, if you're a Baysider, here's what's interesting. Jenny is one of the main speakers for the business luncheon next
Right.
month.
Oh, she?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She skipped the last 3 marriage events,
But
no.
business here, no.
Yeah, totally good with that.
Very supportive.
But here's what we found is it just gave her such support. Now, to be honest with you, that sometimes frustrates me because things are in different spots and places, and I don't leave my stuff alone, and it just
Kevin.
right.
First off, I think we're learning we're the ones supposed to be cleaning.
yes.
Now you're bad of the gun.
So, but I mean, that was one of those things because she hates to clean.
Right.
She loves to clean house.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, some people love cleaning. It's like therapeutic for them.
Yeah.
I love mowing. We talked about this, mowing the lawn. Jenny, like,
Oh, Jenny loves that too.
loves it. Like, we just love. Anyway, so not to like get awkward here, but the next question is, what is the best way to decide who owns what in marriage? So lanes we respect, resentment doesn't build.
Yeah, that's just a negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit down and negotiate. Here's the problem: most couples never do this. That's where it becomes dangerous. Is most couples assume whatever their parents did, that's how the division is going to happen within their house. And there's a great deal of danger here because for a lot of men, they grew up in households where dad went to work, mom went to work too, and took care of everything at the house. And so they think as long as they're doing their job, they make eggs once a week, like suddenly everything's great. Instead of let's have a sit down conversation. And there's a lot of great things you can literally just Google out there. A list of household chores, common demands whenever it comes to a family, and just list them out and let's begin to negotiate these out. Who's going to take care of what? What does that look like for this season?
Yeah.
And then it might change in other seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is everything from not just kids, who takes care of the kids' doctors, but you have kid one dentist, kid one general physician, kid one might have some kind of other medical needs. All right, what about kid two? Who does the dentist? Who does the doctor? I mean, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking too of like, I get the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and one of the common themes is this. Well, I'm out working and I'm doing this, that, and the other thing, and I'm providing.
Okay, that's literally a question.
Okay,
What do you say when your partner thinks, I bring home the paycheck so I don't have to help at home?
there you go. That's my question. I didn't text that either. It just came to.
Yeah. No, so I think again it all plays into this, and so book plug number 2.
Yes.
In the creation of us next year, next August,
Oh, same.
we have same book. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are different books.
That's Avery Lane.
There is a book coming out next month that we haven't even talked about yet. I haven't even plugged it a single time.
Okay.
But within the creation of us next year, there's a chapter called the economy of us. Notice I didn't say the money of us.
Mm-hmm.
Money is a part of a much bigger thing. Nations have economies. Income in, income out, all the resources that are there. So a family has to look at this as the totality of what the economy actually is, and not just this very narrow sense of who's making the money, who's taking care of the house. That's a foolish way to look at these two things because it's much more complicated than that. And so a great way to go about this within this question is let's read the gender stereotype into this question that you're asking. Which is he's saying, well, I provide, and so you should take care of everything. Okay, great. If that's the way you think it should be, absolutely. Let's do this. I'm going to go on vacation for 2 weeks, and you're going to take off work for 2 weeks, and you've got the kids, and you've got the house, and let's see how that goes. And then after that, let's have a very fair conversation of what this should look like. There's also another question within that. Would he be willing to switch roles? Because, all right, so one's going to provide, one's going to take care of the house. Why is it assumed I have to be the one taking care of the house? I may not want that deal. If I'm choosing the deal, I want to work outside the home, if that's the deal. And so let's have some honest conversation about what this is actually like.
When we had a season before coming down here, there was a quiet of Blaine didn't go to work type of time. And the amount of respect I gained for being in the home the pressures of the children, all the things, and had increased immensely. Where I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, I help far more and way more aware of what is going on in the house, the stresses. Hey kids, let's just go over here, give mom some quiet, whatever those things are. But I had to experience it.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking of the gal that's listening on this and is frustrated because she's saying, that's my husband, like that's what I'm dealing with. How can we give practical steps? Or what is the guy really dealing with? Is it pride? Is it insecurity? What is it that's saying, I do this, you do that, I'm fearful of going into this world? What is that? How do we break that barrier? How do we get the guy to experience it, if that's what's needed, in order to share empathy for his wife?
It could be a few things. I think Siegel and Park could call it rigidity. So it is this idea of, I only find identity in this life the way I know it, and it has to be this. So we're going to have to play these specific roles. This is the only role I feel comfortable in playing, the only role I understand. So I think everybody has to do it this way, which means if I'm playing this role, you have to play that role.
Okay.
So one is to recognize that's a lack of integration. That's actually a lack of health, and it's a coping mechanism for some insecurities that are going on inside. Another aspect is just the practical concept of, look, I feel very capable at work. I feel very capable. I do not feel very capable at home. And specifically with a whole bunch of tasks that I have no experience. Okay. I mean, it's unfair, and I get it. Jenny's had to teach me how to clean the kitchen.
Right.
I didn't know. Right. I didn't do that.
But she empowered you to become able to do that. I guess is one of my aha moments a little bit, is like, I think, can the other part of this equation empower the person to do more at home and help them, instead of just expecting it and having that be a great division?
Yeah, you have every right to think, I shouldn't have to do this. They should already know. All right, grieve that they don't, but let's deal with reality.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? Let's meet them there. And now, what are some things that we can begin to do to make it feel like more of a true partnership, rather than a one-sided? Because here's the danger of the question that's coming up here, is this is a parent-child relationship.
Right.
A 13-year-old boy expects his mom to do everything around the house, even as he lives his life. Understandably so, a mom's going to happily do that. Well, when that 13-year-old is now 43, he should have a different mindset.
Right.
And to recognize, look, this is a much bigger picture of what's going on, and how do we go about negotiating this out? And it has to be something that we're never going to get perfect. But then we're going to come back and revisit it 6 months from now, a year from now. This is one of the conversations I encourage couples to have every year on vacation. Take some time out, take a part of your vacation, and say, hey, let's have a business discussion. Is there any part of our relationship right now where you feel taken advantage of? Well, this would be space now for this person to say, you know what? Yeah, I love you, and I know you love me, and man, you provide, and I'm so grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like the workload is equal right now. Because here's what's going on. I hear, and I get the idea, guys have busy jobs, that it's hard to transition from work into the house. But I will hear sometimes of, she's home all day with little kids, and he comes home and expects an hour to wind down. Well, okay. When does she get that?
Yeah.
You know when your time to wind down was?
Ridiculous.
Your drive home. That was your time. Now, and I've had some couples that say this.
I just think that's insane.
I've had some couples who say this, who literally, they've negotiated out. The husband comes home, and for 10 minutes he can sit in the driveway.
Oh, sure.
And
10
process.
minutes, take it. You do that all the time.
Wow.
Process.
I'm constantly, no, I let me rephrase that.
Okay.
I sometimes check his location.
I'm constantly from 4:30 to 5 p.m.
And
I'm constantly-
oftentimes, he's already home. He's been home for like a little while, but he's been in his car. Yeah, you're on the phone.
and I'm trying to wrap a phone call because I don't want to walk into the
Chaos.
fun,
Yes.
right,
Yep.
without having my attention on the fun. So, because I've learned over times, when I go and I try to continue to do what I do, A, I get frustrated,
Yeah.
and B, it doesn't help the situation. So just wait your turn, and then and then get in there, right?
So years ago, Jenny pointed this out. She was brilliant for doing so. It greatly changed how we operate. And it was that concept of, look, whenever you walk in this house on the phone, you might as well not be here.
Correct.
And then it's frustrating the kids. It's frustrating me. I would rather you sit in the driveway and wrap up the conversation. And so now, my buddies know, specifically I'm on the phone with them, it's work, it's different. But I'll pull in the driveway and I'll say, hey, home, see ya.
Yeah.
And literally, we cut the conversation that quick
Mhm.
because it's not a work conversation. But the idea of I'm not going to walk into the house and phone. Now, ironically, now that the kids are older, I could walk in and have an hour-long conversation and
Mhm.
nobody's going to care. Jenny's working, right? Ella's at college. Who knows where Silas is? He's in the basement or whatever.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can. It's not a big deal at all. So it's a season-specific
Yes,
kind of thing,
100%.
but a brilliant conversation to have.
Yeah. I think that there's, and I want freedom for this, there's a lot of guys, because I just hear the stories, I've been there, where I had so much validation at work
Yeah.
that it misplaced my desire to be at home,
Mhm.
right? And so it's like, be acknowledged of that, like be aware of that, sorry, of like, where are you finding your joys? Because it's very dangerous when it's only at work.
Yeah.
Find the joys at home, see how you can contribute, see how you can find happiness there.
And to also recognize, look, if your spouse stays at home to work and you go to work, you're getting a lot of validation. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we make sure that she's now getting the validation that she deserves,
Mhm.
that even begins to somewhat equal
Mhm.
what you're experiencing? I mean, we joke about this all the time, of unfairly. I mean, I'll get through here on a weekend and people will applaud. You'll be out in the courtyard. Oh my goodness, that was so. I mean, they're lying to you, but it was so great. And all those kind of things. It's not like whenever I walk in that Jenny rises from her desk in applause.
There he is.
There he is. Welcome home, right?
Hero.
The leader of the home.
And so you do have to recognize that within yourself.
That's right.
There's
Yeah.
a danger that's here,
Mhm.
but you also have to recognize that for your spouse.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like this validation, she needs it too. How do we make sure that she gets
We've
it?
gone through that because I stay home with the kids, and there's been so many times too, even spiritually. He's like, I'm having all these great conversations, and I'm being so filled up. I'm like, cool, I'm not.
Yeah.
So I'm being sucked dry,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
literally sometimes, like.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a good.
Yeah. And that's,
to be aware of.
again, I think
It's
our,
also seasonal.
yeah, sure. But I think our awareness of that is growing.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, it's so fun. You're talking about the partnership is the tough part. You know this. We're discovering our partnership far more than ever before. And it's so fun, right? To like see her, we're in a rooted group the other night, and it's like to see her finally being in my little circle of, talking about the Bible with people and all these pastoral things. She's elevating and she's the voice. And I'm like, oh, this feels so good that I don't have to be it. And to see her growth. And it's like amazing.
Yeah, early on, hang on, that'll be our last question.
Yeah.
But early on in marriage, it's interesting because in a church world, oftentimes your only day off is Saturday. Right here, it's not because we work on Saturday. But what day do weddings happen? Saturday. So it wasn't uncommon at all for me. I would do 20 weddings a year.
Mhm.
So 15 to 20 Saturdays a year, my one day off, that we're actually all home as a family, and that was taken up. And so just early on, it just came from the idea of, look, whatever I get paid for this wedding, let's say it's a couple $100 I get paid for this wedding, that money is going toward us. Because she's making just as big of she's actually making a bigger sacrifice than I am. I get to show up to a wedding and leave. Like, she's here with the kids having to negotiate everything. And so instead of, oh, poor me, look at how I'm having to work more. No. It's she's having to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so how can we make sure that we feel a partnership even in this? And so this became our vacation money. This became money for us to spend because we were both making a sacrifice on our days off to now make this happen. And so I think to constantly make sure, especially ministry-wise, this is something we're doing.
Mhm.
This is, I get to be on stage. Jenny doesn't want to be on stage ever.
Right.
But we are doing this together.
Right.
Because first of all, if we're not married, it's going to be a very difficult podcast for us to do. Right? Then it will become Change the Odd. And so, but instead, just view this as a partnership in what's going on.
Okay.
We got time for one more.
Okay. And this flows in beautifully, and it's a question I think I get super passionate about. For couples dreaming about the future, what do you do when your visions no longer align, or maybe they're being separated, or maybe I have a dream and you have a dream, good, go get it, and it's like, where's our dream?
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's a great question. And I think one, it shows some honesty that's going on, which is a powerful thing. But two, I don't want couples necessarily to freak out, because the question then becomes, is there a third way?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a place that these two dreams actually somewhat overlap? Are they even competing? They may not even be competing, Instead, literally, as you're pursuing that and I'm pursuing this, we can where the common ground becomes is in the support we're providing each other as we pursue our dreams. And the unity and the power can actually be in that, not in the specifics of what the dreams actually look like. But then there's also a concept of, okay, how are we dreaming together? All right, this is what you want to accomplish. That's what you want to accomplish. Great. What do we want to accomplish? Who do we want to be? What's the life that we want to create? What does this look like? And how do these two things, I think, fold in underneath a larger picture of what is us, who we are? And so, and then beyond that, if they then continue to still struggle to find all that, this is a powerful place to get with a counselor, come on a retreat, let's do something to where we're going to go in, we're going to recognize, hey, we're not real comfortable with what this feels like. How is there a way that, is this a sign that we're actually going different directions? If so, how do we stop that, or how do we change that? But more importantly is, how do we unify these two what seem like detached ideas into an overarching purpose for both of us? And I think it's extremely possible, but people can kind of at the surface level freak out. It's like, oh, these feel radically different, or we no longer aligned. Not necessarily.
And like, I know we talked about it in terms of a family value system. Like, we have our list of family values where some of those goals need to kind of fit into our direction. Couples can do that too, right? And it's just like, God wired us individually in our own giftings. We can go off and do great things, but there should be some sort of common goal. As a couple.
No, absolutely. You need to be headed in the same direction. If nothing else, I think in a situation, let's say Jenny and I were in this situation. Where's the commonality? You know what the commonality is for us? Is I actually want her dream more than she wants her dream. And she actually wants my dream more than I want my dream. And we're so unified now in that, that we're trying to help each other make their dreams come true. That there's a power, and it's almost like from this foundation come these two individual expressions. And the individual expressions in the end aren't really even that important. It's the unity that we now have and pursuing after those together.
And like, I look at our one of your dreams was to have a husband that led the home spiritually. And so even in that, now that's becoming far more a thing than it was 8 years ago because of my maturity of faith and all those good things. But as that's happening, the amount of sacrifice that she's had to make in some of her dreams, is tough. But at the same time, this was our dream, and now our other dream is now she's elevating, and now suddenly it's like, but it's now suddenly going like this because there's just been this back and forth of acknowledging we want to help marriages. It's one of the things that we want to do. How we do that could be very different. She could be doing it through comedy. I could be doing it through coffees, all the different things. But then we come back together, and our best days are like when we're chatting about kingdom-minded things together. We get really excited. I didn't have to be in the room, but I know that our common goal is we want to have God-honoring marriages, and it's just fun to have that goal, right?
But y'all are clearly transitioning out. You're transitioning out of the baby season. And you're starting to see the light oh my goodness, the possibility that can be here, right? And there's dark clouds on the horizon about some other seasons of life too, and you're going to navigate those. But there's an excitement of what now can be. You couldn't have done this in the previous season. Didn't need to, but now's the time. And the excitement that's actually there. All right. Hey, text marriage to 56316. We're actually going to shoot another episode on some of the rest of these questions. Would love to include yours in that marriage to 56316. And until next time, don't forget, change the odds, because marriage and family were never
meant to be a game of chance.
Oh, there we go. See you next time.